episode of God Built This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 234. Welcome back to another Friday episode. Again, if you would like to hear the full episode, please become a patron at patreon.com/GodBuiltThis. But let's get into this gang bang cop scandal. So this story came out months ago this year. Back in January, this cop was found guilty or, whatever the wording for it, of having sex with many of her male coworkers who were also cops. And she is this little petite white girl. Now, the male cops, maybe I could look up their names. Okay. Cuz I was wondering, are they all black male cops? Like, oh gosh, is this going to be one of those like, I'm this innocent white girl who had sex with black men? Ooh, okay. Well, there is a black officer in the mix too. God damn, how embarrassing. Anyway, so I heard the story a couple of months ago, but I just didn't care to. I don't think I talked about it on here. So basically, it was this big sex scandal that took place. Where did it take place? In Tennessee, and she was exposed to having sex with her male colleagues, her male coworkers. And basically they ran a train on her. To be very frank, they ran a train on her because she was the only woman and it was a bunch of niggas, and not as in all black men type of niggas. I'm talking about just like men in general who just had sex with her. And apparently this was on the job. Now, I don't know if that means this was in the jail cell. Like, what does on the job mean? Maybe because it's during work hours. Because when you're a cop, are you like, you're not always behind the desk. You may be out and about. And so during their out and about escapades, they engage in sexual intercourse. So this was revealed, and her, including many of the other alleged, I gotta start saying that more often, officers got fired. So there were 5 police officers involved in this case. Actually, let me go ahead and read this. So 5 police officers in Tennessee have been fired and 3 remain. So it's more than 5, right? So like 5 were fired and then 3 remain suspended. So she had sex with 8, at least allegedly 8 officers during this scandal. So 3 remain suspended following an alleged sexual assault scandal within the department. So her name is Megan Hall. She came forward recently and said that she had been groomed for sexual exploitation. Now, this is an interesting twist because instead of just being, I did the wrong thing, I was caught, I should have never had sex with my coworkers on the job, our job should be perceived as prestigious and we took it for granted type of thing, just kind of taking accountability. She is claiming to be victimized by her coworkers. The 8 officers in question were disciplined earlier this week before the internal investigation took place. Hall, who was just 24 years old, was the only female police officer fired in connection to this sex scandal. She was fired back in January of this year after an internal investigation. So it was found that Hall and other male officers had been having sex while on the job and then denied doing so. The investigation showed that Hall was intimately involved with 4 other officers, including a sergeant. Not just a sergeant, 2 sergeants, a detective, and an officer who subsequently were fired. How embarrassing. 3 more officers were also suspended for their involvement in the sex scandal. Now, when they say their involvement, I'm wondering, does that mean they all had sexual intercourse with her, right? Or does that mean there was some, because it just says intimately involved, right? So I don't know to what capacity does that mean. 5 of the officers have now admitted to engaging in sexual acts. So sexual acts look like a plethora of things. So what does that look like? What does that mean? Is there video? Are there pictures? Hall has also admitted to engaging in sexual acts with the named 5 officers, with in addition of officer, and they named this officer. So following the claims of sexual misconduct in relation to the scandal, she has since filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the department and the co-workers. You know what's so interesting about this is I feel like she is finding some level of victimization here to kind of save face. Because instead of just being like, look, yeah, we got frisky and one thing led to another and then a train took place, I feel like she thought to herself, you know what? Maybe it's better if I just said I was groomed. Now, how does one get groomed at 24 years old? I don't know. But I do want to leave space for the possibility, right? Because sure, I do think there are circumstances in which you can be a victim of being groomed, but I don't know. I feel like that term needs to be reserved primarily for young people, people under the age of 18, minors, not for an adult who pass evaluative exams and mental exams to obtain her position as a police officer, right? So in my mind, I think to myself, like, how can I even envision an adult in this job, right, in that career of being an officer, being capable of getting groomed? You know, and I look at her picture. She's this frizzy, like this kind of like nerdy looking white girl who is petite. And just off top, she comes off like she is someone who wants approval. Not just wants, but yearns for approval. I feel like she is just eager to be like, oh, I could do it. I could do that. Anything you want. You know, like she's like a good time girl, or just, you know, I'm that girl for you. I don't know. But I feel like there's something about her just off of this police officer profile picture that she has. It seems like she is very much of a, yes, I'll do this. And I'll do you, and I'll do him, and I'll do him too. Now, I think what's deplorable here, yes, it's accountability that she definitely should take. But I think it's deplorable for a sergeant, and not just a sergeant, but 2 sergeants to have been involved in this situation. Like, you know, at this point, you know, men will be men, right? Like, regardless of the position that you're in, regardless of the title that you hold, the label that you carry, if you're a man who has no self-control, it really doesn't matter, right? Like, you'll just F whoever you want. And I think that's just the hilarious nature of it all. Like, that's just the reason why I find it so deplorable. Like, girl, what? Now, I don't know if she has a case here. She is a white woman. She, at the very, basis of her just being white, she may absolutely have a case here. And that was a little taste, a little salt at the tip of your tongue. If you would like to listen to the full episode, become a patron at patreon.com/godbuiltthis. See you there.